Hola Florida! Introducing Boricua Beer and Taino Light Beer. Boricua and Taino Light are crafted beers that are rich in flavors and brewed right here in Florida. Taino beer has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean flavor style when enjoyed chilled. Boricua beer is a craft ale with full body flavor that is a beer drinker's beer. Boricua and Taino Light Beers. Enjoy responsibly.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her, and her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a volunteer child advocate. I am you.
Florida residents call toll-free 866-341-1425.
Good evening. This is Greg Perkins back again with EduTV. We had a little hiatus there, but we are back in full effect, so to speak. Anyway, old school rap language. Okay, I'm here today with Shawn. Welcome, Shawn.
How you doing?
I met Shawn at an event, and very articulate young man. And I want Shawn to share with you today some of the things that are going on in Orlando. There are a lot of great things going on in Orlando on the education and social front. Shawn is the family engagement coordinator.
Family engagement coordinator
For
MVP families.
MVP families.
Right.
Through the Polis Institute.
Right. So I work for Polis. Polis is the organization. We have many different sort of efforts in relation to community engagement. Mm-hmm. And so the one that I coordinate is in the area of West Lakes, okay. Which is pretty much just getting families together and doing family fun events to kind of help with that familial bond, as it research supports that kids perform better academically in school. Kind of based on that, and so we actively apply that in that area.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at Polis. So you guys have a social mission, right? To try to help families through education and improve their lives. So tell me about your core mission, right. And then what else you want to share with us?
Okay, so that's one aspect of it. As an organization, we strive to strengthen communities, and we do that through placing the highest value on people, treating people in a dignified way. And there's a lot of organizations out there, like everyone wants to help, but there's certain ways where that can be hurtful to the people that you intend to help.
How so?
Sometimes when you try to help folks, you strip the power from them. There's no autonomy, I guess, in that. Like if I say you want your house painted, and I say, hey, I want to come paint your house, I can do it, and I painted a color that you don't like, and it's like I'm not really valuing what you would like. So we sort of believe that there's this middle ground, best practices, research supported. We do surveys and really ask people what their needs and wants and desires are, and try to meet where that middle ground is. But back to your question, we do we do engagement, we do equipping of leaders. We have a program in Eatonville where we sort of train people to be like community leaders. It's called Leadership Eatonville. And then what I do is more like family-centric. So really kind of play it by ear to see what would be most beneficial to that specific neighborhood. and then create some programming around that, but where there's built-in autonomy for the people that are there. It's because there'll be more buy-in and sustainability if it's something that they want. So.
Right, so you guys are actually empowering people as opposed
that's
to
the word I was looking for earlier.
No, that's okay.
I was like,
okay.
oh, there's an E word.
No, but I like your analogy, Shawn, when you said, hey, I'll paint your house and then you come. But it seems to me that you guys actually sit down, have a conversation with the members of the community about what their needs are, and then you guys, through collaboration.
And wants.
Okay.
And wants as well, yeah, through collaboration, right. So we, and I'll try not to make this too complicated, but we serve as a facilitator between investors and residents. We take a look at research and we're this like think tank, to be able to consult to investors. We kind of take a seat at the table of multiple stakeholders in a neighborhood to maximize the benefit to that neighborhood. You have to consider residents' interests, and you also want to get the perspective of who's wanting to help as well, and try to find some common ground there so that we get the best benefit to that neighborhood, which is hard to do. Like, no one knows how to do that work. But as we work, we evaluate what's working and try to, consult otherwise. We have a monthly meeting with like investors, churches, and nonprofit
Now, who are some of the investors? Because that could be a broad term.
Yeah, all right.
Term,
So the Winter Park Health Foundation
Okay.
and the town of Eatonville want to invest in the town of Eatonville, for example. So they would be considered investors.
Okay.
There's St. Luke's St. Luke's United Methodist Church. I wanted to get that right.
I've actually been to one of those churches, man. Yeah. I'm really impressed with those.
Yeah, so they
very nice.
They have some initiatives in East Winter Garden where we've played sort of like a middle role there and some consultation there. So we try to both protect the residents that live in an area that's having some investment, but also work with investors. So because most people don't mean to do any harm, like people, but sometimes you just need that middle guy to be kind of everywhere and help facilitate some of that. So that's largely what we do.
Now, the Polis Institute, some people say now, why does the Polis Institute want to make a difference? Is it through just purely humanitarian effort? Is this something that was adopted as a result of another model that maybe worked in another city or something? Why? What's the reason behind the
the Polis Institute started as a research project.
Okay.
A philanthropist had on his mind, he wanted to know how to help people, but he wanted to make sure that his philanthropic dollars were actually moving the needle on something. And so that launched a research project, a 3-year project that started in 2006. And out of that came this idea that, place-based, asset-based work around community revitalization works. And what I mean by that is, instead of investing in different areas or investing in an issue like homelessness or some sort of thing where philanthropy can just throw money at, it's hard to or difficult to assess the impact of that. So let's focus on a geographic area that has multiple social whatever issues, if you will, and that way it's close enough where we can see the impact that we're making, and then go a mile deep and an inch wide versus a mile wide and an inch deep. Not to take away anything from support against issue-based works, but so there's that. And then I'll close with this real quick. This theme that a city is only as strong as its weakest neighborhood.
Okay.
That's so out of that research project.
That's what I was getting at about the people. Who are these people that you're helping? No, I'm saying I like that sentence that you just said.
Okay.
That a community, can you say that again?
A city is only as strong as its weakest neighborhood. So we focus our areas on areas that has some like vulnerabilities and ways that we can help strengthen that community, but on their terms.
And how's that been received by the community? Do you guys serve a specific community, a specific target?
Well,
area?
we've played some role in maybe about 30 different neighborhoods in the course of the life of Polis. But I would say strong in terms of just strong engagement worlds where we engage, equip, evaluate. There's 4 main ones. West Lakes, which is the area that I organized community engagement program. I'm sorry, that like family-centric model towards academic success program. There is Eatonville, which I mentioned earlier.
Very historic city.
Yeah, very. Then we have Holden Heights as one. Kelly Square is running a point on that. And East Winter Garden, which I think I also mentioned.
Wow, you guys covered that. That's kind of a big area, isn't it?
Well, those are just different areas. So it's not. I mean, we do multiple. We offer multiple services, if you will, and each neighborhood is different. So we don't want to come up with like a standard one size fits all thing. Like it's fluid and it requires time and talking to people, surveys and being and developing what would work best. And we can't work like our work is best amplified when we partner with people. We're not like a standalone thing, although we have things that we can offer, consultation and that kind of thing. But when you have investors like Lift Orlando, in the area that I work in, and you have, folks just cooperating on multiple fronts, you get the best out of that neighborhood, and so that's a hard thing to do. But
but
we believe in our work.
It's noble.
Yeah,
it's noble. Now, you said you guys have been around since 2009, and on the second part, on the other side of this interview, I want to get into, like you were saying, you assessing whether or not a program's effective. Like a lot of people do through dollars and stuff, but they don't know if it's actually working. Right. I used to see that in the school system all of the time. So, what are some of the key things? Let me go back. In 2009, you guys started, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, what are some of the things that you guys have found that works or doesn't work, or?
So, well, I can only speak to my sort of context. So I got hired on with Polis in August of 2016, but I'd been doing community engagement work prior to that, mentoring youth. I started an open mic night. It became the longest running open mic night in Orlando, just getting people together, sharing their art. I'm a poet myself. And so I could, as far as MVP families, we had our first pilot year of that. And so a lot of the evaluation from my vantage point would be specific to MVP families. One of the things that I found didn't work was consistently having the kids that are in the program sort of with the parents as we're doing some of the things that were geared towards the parents didn't translate well with the kids, because it's a mixed group. And so early on, I did that, and I was just kind of scratching my head, and I did some survey asking what are, kids are like, we want to play, and so my inner education thing, I'm like, no, you must learn. But it's 6:30 in the evening. This is like they have school already.
Yeah, it kind of worn out.
So I ended up changing that a little bit to where we did some stuff where the whole family was doing an activity together, but time and again, like after dinner, we would transition them out to an area and they would just kind of just have free play, just get that energy out. And there's value in that,
Yeah.
So I wrote a blog about that too.
Okay, great.
It's called The Value of Play.
Well, tell me about the value. No, because they actually, that was a big thing. What was it, last year, where they said in the school system they weren't giving the elementary kids enough playtime, right? And these are kids.
Yeah.
And you're asking them to just sit in the classroom all day and do reading and math, all this academic stuff.
Right.
And it was kind of driving the kids crazy a little bit. So they legislated.
Well, one of the main benefits is with free play, and I've read up on some materials about that, is kids that play freely, and this is more, I guess, towards younger kids, is they figure out how to solve problems on their own.
That whole social dynamic and working with others. Yeah. Shawn, hold that thought, folks. We'll be right back on the other side of this, and then we'll talk about some of the other partnerships that you guys are involved with.
All right,
we'll be right back.
Thank you.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her. And her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a volunteer child advocate. I am you.
Florida residents call toll-free 866-341-1425.
Welcome back. This is Greg Perkins, your host with EduTV, and we are talking with Mr. Shawn Welcome. He is the Family
Engagement Coordinator
for the Polis Institute. And again, I met Shawn at an event, and they're doing a lot of great things here in Orlando, especially on the social and cultural front. Now, Shawn, was there a certain criteria for which neighborhoods you adopted? And then I want you to tell the people, too, about the partnership that you guys are in with Florida Central Sports, as well as Lift Orlando.
So at the time that I came on board with Polis, there had already been work going on there. Polis had partnered with Lift Orlando prior to me coming on board. So I was brought in more to help coordinate this program that had been developed. So that I don't know today. It's like how you choose the neighborhoods you work in. So that was something prior, but we do have something called a neighborhood stress index that we use, which is the crime rate and the persons above 25 without a high school diploma, home ownership, and household income are like 4 main factors. If those items comprised are low, or one of those factors are low, that would be one of the things that we would look at to assess.
When you said that, the stress index, it kind of reminds me of the book The Tipping Point. I don't know if you've read it.
I've heard of it.
Great read. Yeah, because they do that. They do this thing about when so many things happen in a particular neighborhood, it begins to transform the whole fabric of the neighborhood. And it's been years since I read it. But yeah, that's a good thing. So once you guys identify those factors, is that an indication that the neighborhood may be headed in a certain direction?
Well, we identify those neighborhoods as distressed according to that index. So that's.
No, I'm saying once you guys identify it, then you kind of go in and start to use your I don't want to call it magic sauce, but some of the things that you guys have developed, what the research has shown you, some things that may be vital for improving those things.
Right. And a lot of that, the solutions for that kind of come from like those surveys. I mean, it's profound. Like some people think like, how do you come up with ideas and this kind of thing? Like asking people is simply profound. Like, what do you want? And that's a hard concept for some people. Like, how did you know that? I don't know. I can't even think.
We live in a data-driven society, right?
Yeah, it's like
there's so much data. So if you just kind of look at the facts, it'll kind of tell you what the needs of the people are. Now, as you work with families, Shawn, and I guess family has taken on a different meaning in our society. I know I'm older than you. So when I grew up, a family could mean, even though the one was a single mother, she had other brothers who were your uncles. Support system, right? Are you seeing the degradation of that with the families that you work with? Has it changed? Is it improving?
I would say that the effort towards being a whole unit to support the kids is definitely strong and on the upturn. if that's a word. And that's based on kind of what I see. People, I think, have this perception that like parents don't care or don't want to be involved, but that's the exact opposite of what I see with MVP families. I mean, this is that same that neighborhood stress index where there's some not a high rate of home ownership and these other factors, but parents are getting together at a community center and having a meal with their kids and submitting report cards to us like voluntarily, and going out to these family fun events. So I think the desire to be a strong family unit is there. It's just there may be just some other factors that deteriorate that, especially in low income neighborhoods where schools maybe traditionally have failed like in the past and that kind of thing. So there's multiple factors to that. I certainly don't have the answers to everything. I just know getting folks
if you did,
together.
you'd be a very wealthy guy if you could fix all those problems. Because Shawn, let me tell you something.
It's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. And I like what I saw that day that I came to that meeting. Because Shawn, I mean, just as you and I are talking as two African American men, it still frustrates me to no end that as African Americans, we have not made a lot of financial progress, a lot of educational progress. There are some things that have improved, but on a comparative whole, it just still bugs me why we still struggle with some of these things.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you your thoughts on it, not Polis's thoughts, but because you're in there, you're out there working with the people. So what are your thoughts on that? Why do you continue to have challenges in those areas?
Well, there's definitely some systemic, sort of institutional factors, mass incarceration and fathers not being in the homes. There's media that kind of, media, I'm talking about multiple facets of it with music and some of the like lyrics in modern rap.
It's interesting you would say that, right? Because you're an artist, right?
I am an artist.
But I listen to rap, right? And man, I tell you what,
and the music massages like messages in there that are anti like the productivity of in this context, black families, right? And
what do you think of that as an artist?
I mean, it's not much that, I mean, I can have my opinions on that. Like, I'm a crazy like optimist, right? I think that in any form of change, you shine in what you're doing, and if that light is bright enough, people will be attracted to that. And so I don't take necessarily the approach of like pointing fingers or blaming this and blaming that. It's like focus on what you're good at, and if it will outweigh everything that is counterproductive to the forward movement of society, in our idealized version of that, then that's what's going to move the needle and begin to make some change.
And through this, you and I were talking about the importance of education, formal education, informal education, and that people probably don't have enough facts to make a lot of decisions. Like, I can listen to certain rap, right? Horrible lyrics, but I know that I shouldn't go out and do that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't go out and do that.
There's other things that are attracting to you. It's like, this is a work of genius. This is artistically, this is a like masterpiece.
Right.
But it baked into it is like the like messages, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna like rat-a-tat-tat and everybody like shoot, whatever.
But some people probably take that stuff literally, man.
Right. And so it feeds multiple audiences, which is why there's been such this like success. Like there's beautiful artistry, and then there's lyrics that are comedy. So it has multifaceted appeal. Which is hard to separate. Like, you don't want your kids listening to XYZ lyrics, but what if they're gravitating to the production quality of a certain track, and begin to get into that kind of thing, So you don't know what people are taking away from the music, which is why it's kind of hard, at least for me, to say, X off this and that, because you're also cutting out the good with with the bad.
And I wonder if some of that stuff too can also be used as a teachable moment, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'm listening to this
conversation starters.
Yeah, even for kids, because I think I saw a valedictorian speak. My daughter graduated a couple years ago, and she said her parents raised her to be a decision maker, right? Mm-hmm. They had this child making her own doctor's appointments, her own stuff, starting in middle school.
Wow.
But when she graduated from high school, she was already accustomed to decision making, right? So when she got out there and probably saw something that an average kid had seen, she wasn't shocked. Oh yeah, my parents exposed me to that.
Right.
So, and that's two different philosophies.
Right.
Because I've always said, maybe we shouldn't hide a bunch of things from kids. Maybe we should use, some things with a reason.
Right.
To use that as a teaching opportunity.
Right.
Because Tupac, if you listen to a lot of stuff, a lot of it's uplifting, and a lot of it is not, right? So maybe you can do a lesson comparing and contrasting or whatever, or whatever social issue that's being addressed.
Right.
So I know we kind of like derailed. We derailed a little bit. But
this is so interesting. Let's talk about it.
Well, no, because you were saying that those, I like that term you use, the stress?
Neighborhood stress index.
Yeah, I think that's important. And maybe some of that stuff is part of it, and you guys have come up with solutions to help, eliminate some of the negative aspects of some of the findings that you see.
Well, one of the primary issues that we believe stems like other social problems is concentrated poverty.
Okay, tell me about that.
So that's one thing. When you isolate, for lack of a better term, the folks in the same economic situation, there's no sort of mix of that. Like if you can't go to your neighbor and ask them for a hand up, or puts quotations
or how
around
are
that.
You successful if
everybody
everybody
in your circle is in the same position as you are. And so that's one of the things that we've identified. And most of the communities we work in have there's pockets of that. And so
and they said that decimated the African American communities. That was one of the unintended consequences of desegregation.
Right.
Because the affluent and well-educated African Americans, once they reached that level, right, they moved out
later
of the neighborhoods, right? So here's a little kid. It's like, oh man, I want to talk to a successful business guy. How do you do that? Oh, who do I talk to? Joey, the guy selling weed on the corner. He's got money, right?
Right.
He's got a car, but we know that type of interaction won't get you anywhere.
Right. So I've written a blog about isolation as well. If you go to polisinstitute.org, we kind of try to think through some things and just put some thoughts and ideas out there. We're certainly not the silver bullet solution to how this work is done, but we focus our energies around it, that's unique. To consistently think about social problems and address them in a way that is most dignified to the residents is key. I'll share this little quick fact with you. In 2007, something very unique happened. More than 50% of the world decided to live in cities. And so we believe that the best way to improve our world is to improve our cities, and we do that through kind of this dignified investment model. So we have toolkits and trainings for churches and nonprofits and different things to coach, like how do we best do that work. And the program that I sort of facilitate is helpful in that.
So if people want to know more about Polis, where do they go? You can
so if you want to know more about Polis, visit Polis Institute, INSTITUTE, Polis Institute, one word, .org, to kind of see more about what we do. And
okay. Shawn, it was great. And folks, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week on EduTV.
Hola Florida! Introducing Boricua Beer and Taino Light Beer. Boricua and Taino Light are crafted beers that are rich in flavors and brewed right here in Florida. Taino beer has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean flavor style when enjoyed chilled. Boricua beer is a craft ale with full body flavor that is a beer drinker's beer. Boricua and Taino Light Beers. Enjoy responsibly.